Hello, everyone. You are listening to Shy as Love here on Radio 1 Chicago, and we are here with Daniel Clark. What's going on, brother?
Hola, buenas tardes. What's up, Chicago?
Come on now.
Right.
Let them know. Let them
Okay.
know right now. So, it's your first time being on here.
Yes, correct.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
So we're going to start it off. Just the way that you introduce yourself. For people who don't know you, tell them who you are.
No, so my name is Daniel Clark, hailing from the southwest side of Chicago, over by Midway Airport. So I'm a Latino Americano hip hop artist, also a singer, songwriter, producer, and that's kind of my spiel.
Jack of all trades.
Yes.
Come on. Now, do you have that traditional, I couldn't find nobody to produce my songs, I had to do it myself, or you just naturally just woke up and just yawned and touched the piano, like, oh, play piano?
No.
Like, what happened?
It was always trial and error for me. So I remember I got my start at about fourth grade. That's kind of when I just started writing. I was always so. Let me take it back to 2007 when Kanye dropped Graduation.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was September 2007. I remember hearing the song "I Wonder" by Kanye West, and I was like, when I heard those synthesizers and I heard those lyrics, I was like, wait, this is like what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, this is it. And so it kind of started with that. And so I gradually started writing, and over the years from fourth to fifth to sixth grade and so forth, I began to progress with my writing. And eventually coming to high school, I was like, okay, I want to start to take this a bit more serious. And so I started to ask around my friend group, like, hey, do you make beats? Do you do this? Do you do that? And unfortunately, none of my friends and peers were doing music. And if they were doing music, it wasn't hip hop oriented. And so I found myself having to kind of recalculate what it is that I was doing and how I was going to do it. So it's like I'm writing, but I don't have beats,
Talk about it.
And so I remember going to YouTube to get some more information on like how to do beat making, how to create beats, what is beat making and so forth. And I remember coming across a tutorial for some software called Logic. And that's where I kind of first got in my start at with making beats on Logic. And then, when I first started though, like my beats were terrible. Like these things were bad. It was just like, like, yeah. No, and so as an artist, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot harder than it looks. And so one of the biggest things that I kept in mind was like, okay, I can't give up. I gotta keep doing this. I gotta figure out what it is that goes into beat making. Like, what's the formula? And
stop right.
Yeah.
You said the formula.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Give me some snaps.
Formula.
Some snaps.
Yeah.
All right. So, a couple of things I want to touch on. You said, to take it back, you said that you grew up around Midway.
Correct. Yes.
Now,
Yes.
how is that area might have influenced maybe your music, growing up, experiences? Talk a little bit about that.
So prior to moving to Midway, me and my family used to live in a neighborhood called Garfield Ridge, or not Garfield Ridge, Gage Park. And so we lived there till about 2000, like 2001, 2002. And we eventually moved to Midway, which is Garfield Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming from a Latino community to a more middle class white community, I kind of had to come to terms with like, okay, where do I fit in here? Growing up in a Mexican household, mother speaking Spanish, father speaking English, I grew up with Latino customs. And so it's like, how can I fit myself in with other kids in my neighborhood that aren't necessarily Mexican? And so I definitely had this almost isolation. Like I was always kind of by myself trying to figure out what it is that makes me me. And so music became my outlet. And so rather than thinking like my neighborhood influenced me to do this, it kind of influenced me and empowered me to find myself.
Okay. So for those who have never heard your music, how would you, and they will hear it because you have two amazing songs you're going to play, how would you describe your music?
My music is definitely colorful. It's bright. It's bright. Yeah. I'm attracted to synthesizers, soul, samples, good energy. I'm like, since I was like
synthesizers, good energy.
It's pretty much.
He needs Dang it.
So when I say like I was inspired by
Yeah,
Kanye's
yeah.
graduation album, I mean that's really like what I was inspired by. So not to get too far off track.
Yeah,
So Kanye inspired me,
Okay. Who else inspired you?
but Drake gave me persistence. Drake showed me like this is this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We gonna get into that.
And so
Oh, we gonna get
Yeah.
into that. Sounds good. So, because you are not just one thing,
yeah,
you know, mother speaking Spanish, father speaking English.
correct.
The project that you are working on, you said you have an EP coming out.
Yes, EP is called The Warm Up.
Okay. The warm up.
Yes.
Is that English only, or is that a mixture? Or tell
So
me about
it's
this.
definitely English oriented, but there are going to be a few bars and a few verses that are going to be rapped in Spanish.
Dope.
Correct.
Dope. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, are you having a album release situation?
So-
Anywhere somebody can come in and support it, or is it just like a online
Yeah.
situation right
So if my manager can touch on that.
now? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Manager, let everybody know who you are.
absolutely. My name is Shami Chow, here from Chicago,
Mr.
Illinois.
Chow.
Well, yeah, you know, that's definitely in the works right now. We're in the studio, just kind of laying the tracks down, making sure everything's perfected and it's the exact like vision that Daniel Clark has. My job in this whole thing is just kind of being that vehicle to kind of get him to that point where he wants to be. Especially coming from a different generation, I feel like I have a lot of wisdom that I could give, you know, a person, an individual like Daniel Clark, and a lot of grooming going on as well. So it's been amazing, and I really look forward to doing a lot of things with Daniel Clark in the future.
Vision, grooming, you talking about artist development.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely. Something that's it's a dying art.
Dying. All right, so we're gonna play one of your songs. I feel like the guests listening are getting to know you, but now you
Yeah.
really need to feed into this music. So tell us one of the songs that we're gonna play.
We're going to play Georgia featuring Pradia.
Georgia featuring Pradia. Let's get into it. Oh, let me get that song up, okay?
Is there another song going on in the background?
Let's play it over.
Is there another song going on in the background? It's good enough. Shout out to the producer after the, definitely give a shout out to the producer and everybody after the song.
Hey, y'all, make sure y'all look this man up. Make sure y'all look him up, man. I could curse on the radio, but I know we can't. This is Shyest Love here with Daniel Clark on Radio 1. Daniel, tell us about that song.
Yes, so it's a funny story. So I used to listen to this radio station called Selection Radio, and I remember like during the summer, I think it might have been June, July, I turned to the radio station just to get some inspiration, and I clicked on a random episode, and midway through the episode I heard this beat for Georgia by an artist named Mitch Geis. And when I heard it, I was
Shout
like,
out Mitch Geis.
shout out to Mitch. So when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need this production. Like, how do I get it? Where can I find Mitch? And so I started, doing my research on Google, Instagram, so forth, and I eventually found him on Instagram. And so I sent him a DM. I was like, hey, I just heard your song on Selection Radio at this episode at this time. Is there any way I can get it off you? And at the time, he was like, I don't, hey, thank you, I don't really sell my beats and so forth. But I was like, hey, I really want this beat. And so he said, okay, I'll do like $175 for it. And I was like, I'll give you, then I told him I'll give you $250 for it.
See,
Just to keep that relationship.
just to keep the
Yeah.
relationship.
So I gave him $250 when he wanted $175 for it.
That's how Adam felt about that.
Yeah.
That's how much that beat spoke to him.
And the craziest thing is like Mitch, I've never met Mitch. He's from Massachusetts.
I need to take that trip. I don't
And so-
know. Been too far.
Yeah. And so,
Shout out Mitch. Shout out DM.
yeah,
Shout out
for
IG.
real.
You know what I mean? No, but so for me, listening to that was it just shows how diverse Chicago artists are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you sound like I've heard you before, but you sound like nothing I've heard as well,
really.
and that's amazing.
Thank you.
So I definitely will be googling you. But so tell me more about because you said you've been writing since you were in the fourth grade.
Yeah.
So how was that writing developed?
Oh
over
my
time?
gosh. So when I first started out in the fourth grade, like I was writing terrible raps. Like when I mean bad, like these things like were trash. Like
Fourth grade, right?
being a fourth grade.
Give me
rap.
one fourth grade rap.
I was like, I'd probably like say like this, like my car this, but then like I'd be swearing like every other word.
Yeah.
I'd be like cursing my butt off. Like,
Which is funny because did you even curse in Georgia?
I think I might have like said like one word.
That one word?
There was
It
one word that was obviously we bleeped it out.
Yeah.
We're trying to reach all demographics.
Yeah.
All people.
Because the wording was so. You know what I mean?
I pay attention to that. Like now more than ever. So like over the years, I've just grown more and more conscious of what it is that I'm saying, and how I can make it inclusive as possible. And hip hop is so stellar in inclusivity. Hip hop has opened up the doors for everybody. And that's something that I absolutely love about it.
To do everything.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So you are working on this EP.
Correct.
What do you want fans to get from this?
So this is going to be a teaser for my upcoming or for my follow-up project, which is called Wake Me Up in a Week. And so these are just like practice
Not 2
tracks.
days, not 72 hours.
A week. Wake Me Up in a Week.
All right.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. So pretty much the warm-up is me experimenting with synthesizers, 808s, and so forth, and kind of honing in on that, getting ready for the follow-up project. Yeah.
We're kind of releasing single by single,
Yeah.
just to kind of
Which is the new way to do it.
just to give people the proper introduction. Gives us some time to kind of work in between projects. As well.
Yeah, work that same way.
Yeah.
Because if you got the right singer.
Thank you. I mean, it's all it takes.
Definitely. So we are going to go into something that we were talking about as far as before the interview. We were talking about signed versus not being signed. And I would love your manager's opinion on that. The direction when he puts out this EP and he's teasing and people are like, we want more. And you have those fish that are not biting. Is that the goal for you as the manager? Do you want to put him in a position to where he can sign or he can partner, or is it more the Chicago thing where it's like, okay, now we independent, we're gonna just ride this wave? Like, what direction?
Honestly, I think I want to put Daniel in the position where he's able to call some of these shots in terms of getting on a level where a major label, if we were ever introduced to one, didn't have as much leeway, and we can kind of go about it in terms of like a partnership. So if those opportunities came about, absolutely. But right now, I think we just want to stay the independent route, get that grassroots movement going, touch our fans via shows and via these grassroots movements, releasing these singles, releasing music. Obviously, if the opportunity came across, we would definitely look into it. But for the most part, we want to stick independent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because we were going into the depths about it.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you do, like, this is a whole different, like you brought up generations, a whole different generation of approaching how music is sold.
Yeah.
Definitely shout out, the amazing people who pushed this new law that was passed today. Did you all hear about the Moderate Modernization Act?
No.
Well, it was a law passed about basically songwriters, publishers, different individuals in the entertainment industry, just about how we're going to be paid in the future as artists.
Absolutely.
And that was passed by law. Kanye was there, and Trump signed it. So for me, the future is so bright. We can hit different people in instant, millions of people, upon millions. So the fact that you are, to me, in a place where Chicago, to me, in 10 years is going to be the new music hub. That's just me. I mean, it's going. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I say that to bring up longevity because we brought something in, and I know it's a little early to talk about it, but I love the fact that we were talking about it earlier because you brought up something interesting. I said we'll get back to Kanye inspired you.
Yes.
But Drake took you
to that next level.
to that next level.
Pretty
So
much, yeah.
talk to me about what you meant by that.
So
Before we play this next song.
if I could just I'm just so blown away by Drake's work ethic that to me, he took a bar and he, shot it through the roof. Just to have such a work ethic and be so consistent, and be on top for so long, producing record hits after hits after hits, not slowing down. I remember, a couple years back, I watched this one Drake interview, and he was talking about, I think he was coming off of releasing either Take Care or Nothing Was the Same. And I remember him saying that after the release of that album, I went back to the studio and started working on the next one. You would think that after you release an album, after spending so many times, so many hours in the studio working, that you'd at least want to catch a breather. But no, he was like, I was back in there making the next one.
And I Take Care album.
Right.
Yeah, that was my favorite, actually.
That's one of my favorite albums. So you can put that on right now. Give me one second.
Yeah. And it's just like
Take a shot for me.
exactly. And it's just like someone who's coming up in the game and wants to be here not for 2-5 years, but for 10 plus. I mean, who else to look at than him?
I think it's the right person to emulate on one hand.
And my biggest thing is always being true to yourself, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being inspired by another man's work to find your own, to build your own. And what he released So Far Gone in 2009. We're coming up on 2019. 10 years, best I ever had.
That's something that we also strive for.
Yeah.
Seeing something in front of your eyes, you can't help but not only just look at it and want to do it, but there's also a lot of work that's involved. And I think Daniel has really seen that as well, especially in this last year, kind of buckling down, coming to the studio a lot more often, even working a job so he could finance his dreams. That's another aspect that I think a lot of people aren't prepared to do. A lot of times people think things are going to fall into their lap. It doesn't necessarily work that way. And it's not even about who you know all the time. It's a lot of it's hard work and ethic and having the right people who want to back you and want to stand behind you. And I think Daniel's really brought that to the forefront of his work, I think, in the last year. And I've seen it develop like with my own eyes. It's been amazing to witness.
Without a doubt.
I think it's amazing that your manager believes in it. I think that's also a lost art, because I feel like people
You have to.
don't manage. You know, they manage what they want to manage, but just speaking, just him speaking, and you know, me feeling his energy from across the table, I would definitely say his belief in you and the future is definitely an amazing thing to see. Just to be honest with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And basically, you know, me even being an artist myself, I mean, I guess it may be my own right. I know how it is. So I have that connection as well. There isn't this like barrier, the superficial roadblock that's blocking in between Daniel and I know how it is. I know how it is to do shows, to basically load up, load out, all the unromantic parts of the industry. You know, I've also been through it. So just helping them navigate through this. I think there's a block between generations that I kind of want to help. Lessen that gap.
Let's do it. So we're gonna play this last song and then get about it here. Appreciate you so much for coming in.
No, thank you.
An amazing interview, brother. Seriously, your energy is dope. You and your managers.
Appreciate you.
For this, before we play the last song, why should people, out of millions of artists, give you a chance? What separates you, and why should people listen to your music before you introduce yourself? Come on.
My first thing that came to mind
Okay.
was me caring about my listeners. I care about them. You know, to me, like money's just money. Money's paper. But to have that connection with somebody, to help them get through their situation, to me that's priceless. And that's what artists did for me. I want to do that. And I want to return that
Bring everything full circle.
to the next generation.
Let's do it. All right, well, introduce the second song for us, then.
All right, the next song is going to be A Moment in Time.
A Moment in Time. That is the song we're playing. Again, Daniel Clark, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And A Moment in Time. Let's do it. Boom. Daniel Clark, look him up. Let's get it, baby.
Dog, thank you, man.